She's still here, but she wishes she wasn't. And that's the quiet tragedy playing out in more relationships than anyone wants to admit. She hasn't packed her bags. She hasn't delivered the speech. She hasn't shattered your world with the words, "I'm done." But inside she left a long time ago. She's just too afraid to make it official. Maybe it's fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of what people will say, fear of the financial fallout or the custody complications, or the simple terrifying unknown of a life without the structure she's grown accustomed to. The reasons don't matter as much as the result. She's trapped in a relationship she regrets, performing a role she's exhausted by, waiting for something to change while knowing nothing will. Today, I'm going to show you the 7 clues that reveal she regrets the relationship but is too afraid to leave. These aren't accusations. They're recognitions, patterns that emerge when someone is emotionally checked out but physically stuck. And understanding them might just help you see your relationship clearly for the first time. Let's begin. Clue number 1. She stopped fighting for anything. This is the clue that looks like peace but feels like death. In the beginning, she fought. She argued when things bothered her. She pushed back when she disagreed. She had opinions, demands, expectations. The conflict wasn't always comfortable, but it was alive. It meant she cared enough to engage, cared enough to want things to be different, cared enough to believe that fighting might actually change something. When a woman regrets her relationship but is afraid to leave, the fighting stops. Not because the problems are solved, but because she stopped believing solutions are possible. She agrees to things she doesn't want. She shrugs when you ask her opinion. She says whatever you think with a flatness that should alarm you, but somehow feels like cooperation. The arguments that used to last for hours now end in minutes, not because you've grown, because she's given up. And here's the thing nobody talks about. This feels like a gift at first. Finally, peace. Finally, no more exhausting conflicts. You might even congratulate yourself on how mature the relationship has become. But that peace is a lie. It's not the peace of resolution. It's the peace of surrender. The quiet that comes when someone stops caring enough to object. Here's the gossip detail that will chill you. I knew a man who bragged about how peaceful his marriage had become. "We never fight anymore," he said, like it was an achievement. His friends were impressed. His family thought they'd figured something out. 6 months later, she filed for divorce. She told the lawyer she'd stopped fighting years ago, not because she was happy, because she'd already mentally left. The peace he celebrated was actually her surrender. The harmony was actually her giving up. When a woman stops fighting, it doesn't mean she's content. It means she's conserving energy for the exit she's too afraid to take. She's not investing in conflict because she's no longer investing in the relationship. And that silence, that compliance, that eerie calm, it's not harmony, it's resignation. But the absence of fighting is just the first signal. The next clue reveals what she's doing with all that unexpressed emotion. Clue number 2. Her emotional life happens somewhere else. A woman who's committed to a relationship brings her emotional world home. Her joys, her frustrations, her random thoughts and daily dramas. You become the person she processes life with. The first one she tells when something happens. The container for her inner experience. But when she regrets being with you, that emotional life relocates. She still has feelings. She still experiences highs and lows. She still needs to talk, to vent, to share. But she does it with everyone except you. Her sister knows what's bothering her. Her best friend heard about the promotion before you did. Her coworker got the full story about the terrible day. While you got, "I'm fine," you've become the last to know. The person she informs rather than confides in. The administrative contact for logistics, not the intimate partner for emotions. Here's what this looks like in practice. She comes home and you ask about her day. She gives you the headline version, short, functional, no color. Later that night, You hear her on the phone with someone else, animated and engaged, giving the full detailed account of the same day she summarized for you in 3 sentences. That's not coincidence. That's selection. She's choosing where to invest her emotional energy, and she's not choosing you. The information hierarchy is telling. Think about who finds out what and when. Did you hear about her bad day from her, or did you overhear her telling someone else? Did she share her excitement about the new opportunity with you first, or did you find out from her Instagram story? When something significant happens in her life, where do you rank in the notification order? If you're consistently finding out about her life secondhand, after her friends, after her family, after her social media followers, that ranking tells you everything about where you stand in her emotional priorities. A man told me he realized something was deeply wrong when he found out his wife had been struggling with anxiety for months. He didn't know. Her therapist knew. Her friends knew. Her mother knew. But he, her husband, the person sleeping beside her every night, had no idea she was suffering. She'd hidden it from him specifically, not because he was cruel, but because she no longer saw him as someone she wanted to be vulnerable with. He was the last person she would have told. And that devastated him more than the anxiety itself. When her emotional life happens everywhere except with you, she's already built a world that doesn't require your presence. She's rehearsing for an exit. She's just not brave enough to take it yet. Clue number 3. She overperforms happiness at specific moments. This one is counterintuitive. You'd think regret would look like constant misery. But that's not how it works. A woman who regrets her relationship but is afraid to leave often overcompensates at strategic moments. She's extra affectionate when family visits, extra enthusiastic about anniversaries and holidays, extra performative on social media, posting photos with captions about how grateful she is, how blessed, how in love. The public version of your relationship looks perfect, enviable, goals. But the private version, the one that exists when no one's watching, it's hollow, flat, going through motions that have lost all meaning. Here's the psychology. She's not performing for you. She's performing for her own conscience. Every happy post, every affectionate gesture in public, every declaration of love when others can hear, is a way of convincing herself that it's not as bad as it feels. That maybe if she acts happy enough, she'll start to feel it, that the performance might somehow become real. It's also protection. If she's already planning an eventual exit, she doesn't want people asking questions. She doesn't want anyone looking too closely. The performance maintains the illusion that everything is fine, buying her time until she figures out how to actually leave. And there's another layer most people miss. The performance creates cognitive dissonance. By acting happy, she creates a gap between her actions and her feelings. That gap is uncomfortable. And sometimes, resolving that discomfort by actually leaving feels harder than just continuing the performance. So she stays, acting happy, feeling miserable, trapped in a role she created to hide her own unhappiness. A woman confessed to me that she used to post the most romantic things about her husband on social media on the days she felt most trapped. It was like a pressure valve, she said. I'd feel so hopeless about us, and then I'd post something beautiful, and for a few minutes I could pretend it was true. Plus, if I ever did leave, no one would believe it was that bad. I was covering my tracks before I even knew I was going to run. The gap between Instagram and reality, between the couple people see and the couple that exists behind closed doors. That gap isn't just dishonesty, it's a survival mechanism. And the wider it grows, the more certain you can be that something is deeply wrong underneath the curated surface. Clue number 4. She's emotionally unavailable but won't explain why. This clue is maddening because it feels like a problem without a source. You can feel the distance, the coldness, the wall that's gone up between you. You ask what's wrong, and she says nothing. You try to connect, and she deflects. You reach for her emotionally, and she's simply not there. But she won't tell you why. She won't name what's changed. She won't give you anything to work with. That's because what's wrong isn't something that can be fixed by a conversation. What's wrong is the relationship itself, and she can't tell you that without triggering the confrontation she's desperately trying to avoid. So she stays vague, distant, unreachable. She lets you assume it's stress, or work, or hormones, or just a phase. She lets you make excuses for her absence because the real excuse, that she regrets choosing you, would detonate everything. Here's how a man described it to me. It was like living with a ghost. She was there, but she wasn't. I'd ask what was going on, and she'd look at me with these empty eyes and say, "I don't know." But she did know. She just couldn't say it. And I spent 2 years trying to solve a mystery she already had the answer to. The emotional unavailability isn't random. It's not a rough patch. It's the withdrawal of someone who's already decided, on some level, that this isn't where she wants to be. She just hasn't found the courage to say it yet. Clue number 5. She shows more interest in escape than investment. Pay attention to what excites her, what she researches, what she talks about with energy and enthusiasm. A woman who's committed to her relationship invests in it. She thinks about ways to make it better. She suggests trips together. She plans for a shared future. Her excitement connects to things that include you. But a woman who regrets her relationship, her excitement consistently points away from you. She's suddenly interested in traveling alone. She researches career opportunities in other cities. She talks about what she wants to do someday in a way that sounds suspiciously singular. Her fantasies have stopped, including you. Her daydreams point toward freedom, not deeper commitment. Here's the dirty detail. Watch what she Googles when she thinks you're not paying attention. Watch what books she reads, what podcasts she listens to, what accounts she follows. If it's all about starting over, finding yourself, leaving toxic situations, rebuilding after relationships end, she's not just casually consuming content, she's researching her own escape. The algorithm knows before you do. Her social media feeds, her suggested content, her For You page, they're all shaped by what she's been searching for. If her phone is full of content about independence, healing from relationships, solo travel, starting fresh in your 30s or 40s, that's not random. That's the digital footprint of someone mentally preparing to leave. A man told me his wife started reading books about reinvention and second chapters. She claimed it was just self-improvement. But every book was about women who left their old lives behind and found happiness somewhere else. She was reading instruction manuals for an exit she was too afraid to take. Her nightstand was basically a curriculum for leaving. When her interests consistently point toward independence, adventure, and solo futures, she's mentally rehearsing a life without you. The relationship isn't something she's trying to improve. It's something she's trying to survive until she can leave. Clue number 6. She keeps a strange kind of score. This clue is subtle but devastating once you see it. A woman who regrets her relationship but can't leave often develops a mental ledger, a record of sacrifices she's made, things she gave up, ways she compromised, opportunities she missed, years she lost, not because she wants to use it against you in a fight, but because she needs to justify the resentment she feels. You'll hear it in small comments, references to what she could have done if things were different, mentions of the career she put on hold, the city she wanted to live in, the version of herself she imagines she would have been if she'd made different choices. She's not reminiscing. She's calculating, building a case, documenting the cost of staying so that when she finally leaves, she has evidence that it was worth it, that she didn't waste all those years for nothing. Here's something a woman told me that stopped me cold. I kept a mental list of everything I sacrificed for him. Every time I felt guilty about wanting to leave, I'd run through the list. It reminded me that I'd already paid enough, that I didn't owe him any more of my life. That scorekeeping isn't about fairness, it's about building the courage to go. Every item on the list is a brick in the wall she's constructing between herself and the guilt of eventually walking away. If she frequently references what she gave up, what she missed, what she sacrificed, she's not asking you to appreciate her more. She's reminding herself of everything she stands to reclaim when she finally finds the courage to leave. Clue number 7. She reacts to your future plans with hesitation, not enthusiasm. This is the final clue. The one that reveals where her heart actually is. When you're committed to someone, their plans excite you. You lean into conversations about the future. You add ideas. You say, we should, and that would be amazing. The future is something you're building together. But when she regrets the relationship, your future plans become problems to manage. You mention wanting to buy a house and she gets quiet. You talk about where you might be in 5 years, and she changes the subject. You suggest a big vacation next year, and she hesitates before responding. Every long-term commitment you propose is met with something other than enthusiasm. That hesitation isn't about the specific plan. It's about what the plan represents. More time, deeper entanglement, further commitment to a life she's not sure she wants. Here's what a man noticed before his girlfriend finally left. Every time I talked about the future, she got this look, almost like panic. I'd say something about moving in together or getting engaged, and she'd smile and nod, but her eyes would go somewhere else. I thought she was just nervous about big decisions. Turns out she was trying to figure out how to say no without saying no. When your future feels like her trap, every plan you make is another bar on the cage. She can't get excited because getting excited would mean accepting a future she's already decided she doesn't want. So what do you do with all of this? Let me be honest with you. These 7 clues aren't a conviction, they're information. Data points that, taken together, might reveal a truth you've been sensing but couldn't name. She stopped fighting because she stopped believing the relationship can change. Her emotional life happens elsewhere because she's already built a world without you at the center. She overperforms happiness to convince herself and others that it's not as bad as it feels. She's emotionally unavailable because the truth would destroy everything. Her interests point toward escape because that's where her hope lives now. She keeps score to justify the exit she's planning. And she hesitates at your future plans because your future feels like her prison. None of this means you did something wrong. Relationships end for 1,000 reasons. Sometimes 2 people who genuinely loved each other simply grow in different directions. Sometimes fear keeps people trapped far longer than they should have stayed. Sometimes the kindest thing is an ending that neither person is brave enough to initiate. But you deserve to know where you stand. You deserve to stop performing for an audience that's already mentally left the theater. You deserve to make decisions about your own life based on the truth of your relationship, not the illusion of it. And here's something else you deserve to hear. This isn't necessarily your fault. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes the person someone was at 25 isn't the person they are at 35. Sometimes 2 good people simply stop being good for each other. Her regret might not be about anything you did wrong. It might be about choices she made before she knew herself well enough to make them. It might be about fear and comfort, and the terrifying weight of admitting that years of her life went somewhere she wouldn't choose again. But her fear of leaving isn't your responsibility to manage. Her trapped feeling isn't your obligation to accommodate indefinitely. You're not a holding pattern for someone waiting to find their courage. You're a person who deserves to be with someone who actively chooses you, not someone who stays because leaving feels too hard.